Hello, hello, everyone. This is Dr. B from Steps to the Future. I am here with you this week for another C3 with Dr. B. For those of you that are new to the broadcast, C3 stands for Career Awareness, Career Development, and Career Exploration. And sometimes people will say, well, wait a minute, you do college counseling. Why are you talking about careers? Because when you get out of college, you are going to work. So it's really important that we understand the connection between post-secondary education and also the workforce, what career you have, what job you may be having out there. So again, that's the importance of knowing about C3. And it's so important that we start our kids off at an early age with thinking about what the possibilities are for them out there. I know as a young person growing up, I only knew about the jobs that were within my family. I didn't know about tons of other occupations that may have been open to me. I became a teacher, loved being a teacher, would definitely do it all over again. But as I grew older, I said, wow, there's all these different occupations that are out there that I really didn't know about. So, part of my mission on C3 with Dr. B is to bring to you people who are at the very beginning of their careers, people that are in the middle of their careers, or people that have been in their careers for 20 years or more. In particular, I'm showcasing Black and Brown career professionals because I think representation matters and it's important for children to see people that look like them because I didn't have that opportunity. So, with that being said, I want to give a big shout out to all the seniors, the class of 2023 that are out there making their decisions about what college they will attend. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, May 1st is traditionally known as National Decision Day. So, for those students who are making their final decision about what college's admission offer they will accept, this is a big day. But what I want you folks to also do, celebrate those students who made the choice not to attend college. There are some students who have made the choice to take a gap year. Some students are going straight into the workforce. Some students are entering the military. Some students may be going to a trade school. Please celebrate those students also because all work is valuable and all of our students need our support so that they can continue being the best that they can be. Now, typically, I do my book recommendation at the end of the broadcast, but today I am going to do my book recommendation pretty early. I'm going to do it right now before we bring on our guests. And part of it is that, this is to me appropriate for National Decision Day. So today's book is Little Black Girl, Oh, the Things You Can Do. And the book is by Kirby Howell Batiste. And I want to just read to you the introduction on the jacket because I think it's just so appropriate for young people. And it says, with sparks in her brain and fire in her heart, she knows she is destined to shine no matter what naysayers stand in her way. So, this is one young lady whose dream of becoming a robotics engineer. It won't be easy, but with support and encouragement from her mother and grandmother and inspiration from all the accomplished Black women who blazed the trail before her, she knows she can do anything she puts her mind to. So I just want to share this book again with you because I think it speaks so much to all the young Black girls today who are making their decisions for National Decision Day as to what four-year institution that they will attend in the fall of 2023. So again, Little Black Girl, Oh, the Things You Can Do. I think children's books are so important. And I think they're good for adults too to read because there are lessons in every book. And again, I'm always going to put a push in for the public library as a member of the Cumberland County Friends of the Library. I strongly encourage everyone to have a library card and use those resources that their library provides for them. I mean, your taxes are already paying for it, so get out there and use your public library. So, folks, I am so thrilled today to have with us a young man who is at the beginning of his career. You will get to meet him in a few seconds. So take some time if you need to go and grab something to drink, grab a quick snack, or share this out. Those of you that are watching, thank you for joining in. Those of you that are watching this on the replay, thank you for joining in on the replay. So make sure, folks, that you are sharing this out because I want people to have the opportunity to hear from our next guest. So, as I said, we'll be back in a few seconds. Take care. Hello, hello. We are back. And folks, you see on the screen, my guest for today is Jameel Jones. Jameel is a graduating senior. Yay! He is graduating from Shaw University this year with a degree in Business Administration and Management. Jameel, welcome to C3 with Dr. B.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. It's already a great experience talking to you before we went live and everything. So this is really nice and exciting.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. So Jameel, tell us a little bit about who you were as a high school student.
Oh, oh man. As a high school student, let's see. Well, start out. I was a football player, but I was I got voted class clown. So yeah, so I was a class clown. I used to like making people laugh, still do, but that was what I was known for, just making people laugh and having a good time.
Okay, the class clown. I love that. I love that. I think you're the first person who admitted to being the class clown that I've had on. So so thank you for being vulnerable and letting us know about that. So I know in your in seeking your post-secondary pathway, you went to a community college first. So tell us the name of the community college and tell us your journey through the 2 years at a community college.
Um, so I actually like to start out saying, so like out of high school, I didn't know what I was gonna do. I had no football offers, and I had just nothing. So I didn't even think college was about to be happening until the coach at Hocking University uh, got a hold of me. I forget how he got a hold of me, but he got a hold of me and asked, would I like to come up here, and play football? And I said, yeah. And I just went up there. I signed up for classes. I didn't even visit. I just knew that, it was an education, and I knew that it's better than being around at home. It helped me further just help me further and keep going, pursuing a different path. So, I did it without hesitation. And well, my first year there, I actually did really good. So in high school, I had a 2.3 GPA, and then at community college, I had like a 3.8, 3.9.
Okay.
So yeah, it definitely grew. I say I was a lot more focused more than anything. So I wasn't a class clown at all. I was really I was a guy known for being class, doing everything, right. Quiet and kept to myself. I was either at class, library, or football practice. So those are 5 things that I did.
Okay. So where is Hocking?
Hocking is in Nelsonville, Ohio. It's like 20 minutes outside of Athens, Ohio, and it's like I think maybe an hour and a half away from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. And are you from North Carolina?
No, ma'am. I'm actually from northern Kentucky, right there on the border of Ohio, like Cincinnati, Ohio, where the Bengals are and the Reds.
Okay. Because when I said, okay, how did a coach from Ohio reach out to this young man from North Carolina? But that makes sense that you were in a bordering state. So that makes a lot more sense.
Yes.
So you spent 2 years at Hocking playing football. What position do you play?
I play inside linebacker.
Okay. So what did you think of this latest NFL draft?
I really didn't get to watch it because I was studying for finals. But everybody that back at home is a Bengals fan because that's right there. And I'm not a Bengals fan. If they do good, it'd be okay. But everybody says the Bengals won the draft. I think they're just being biased because that's their team, and they were
okay.
Yeah. So I think they're just being biased.
So when you were nearing your end of your 2 years at Hocking, how did you decide on Shaw University in Raleigh, North Carolina?
So, funny story. I actually didn't know Shaw existed.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
I didn't even know Shaw existed. I actually graduated uh, Hocking during the COVID. That's when COVID had first started. So, it kind of like threw everything off task and off board and stuff. So, I thought I thought I was going to be at a much bigger school with my GPA and having the film for football and being a captain for football. But a lot of people weren't recruiting because nobody didn't know what was going to happen like during COVID.
Right.
So I had to basically take a year off work and stuff like that. And one day, my friend who was at my junior college with me at Hocking, his mentor got a hold of the coach here at Shaw and called. And coach called me. Coach Jones called me. And he was like, would you like to come down here and play? I have scholarship money and different things like that. And yeah. Where's the school located at? He said Raleigh, North Carolina. So I was like, what's it called? It says Shaw, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'm coming because I had no other choices. I was still going to football camps and still like staying in shape and football condition. But this was my only opportunity, so I was like, I'm gonna just take it and see where it goes from here. So
Okay. And see, folks, there's a lesson in that. We don't always have a pathway that we planned on. It doesn't always, you have plan A, but then sometimes you have to go to plan B. Sometimes you have to go to plan C, but you have to be ready. So when opportunities come your way, it's important to jump on those opportunities and see where they take you. So you come to Raleigh, North Carolina. You enroll as a student at Shaw University. You're a member of the football team. So tell me, what was your reaction to coming to Shaw, to coming to a historically Black college and university?
it was a different experience because where I'm from in part of Kentucky is kind of like a mixture, of white and black people. We just like a big mixture. And then I went to a private school too, where it's predominantly white and stuff like that. So, and then coming here, it was like not as so much as a culture shock, but it was just different. It was like just the way they did things, like seeing like I seen the movies and stuff about like Stomp the Yard and different things like that.
Yes.
So, but to like see it in real life and different things like that, it was really it was basically new to me. So it was way different than what I'm used to seeing at a regular, like one of those big universities and stuff like
Right.
that. But it grew on me, and I liked it while I've been down here. We're in a nice, beautiful city and stuff versus being at a community college where there was nothing around me at all besides trees and grass. So yeah, I was happy when I got here.
Yeah, because Shore is right in the heart of Raleigh.
Yep.
So there's plenty of activities on campus and plus throughout the city for folks. So tell me, so how did you decide to major in business administration?
So when I was at Hocking, my whole goal was to make it to the NFL and open up my own restaurant because I like to cook.
Oh,
So
okay.
so my basically like my counselors and tutors and stuff, was telling me different things, and then I told them what I wanted to do, and one of them was like, "Do you want to be a chef working in a restaurant, or do you want to own the restaurant?" And I was like, "Well, I'm going to own the restaurant." And then she was like, "Well, why don't you go to business school first, and then you can always go to culinary school?" And I'm like, okay, yeah, bet, I'll do that. And that's why majored in business, because then she was like, everything's a business. No matter what you do, it's going to be a business. So she was like, just learn about business. And I was like, okay.
That is so true. Everything is a business. No matter what you're doing, you're interacting with people, you're building relationships with people. So sometimes I do tell students, who are interested in um, maybe doing a trade or what have you. I said, that's fine because if some eventually you may become a business owner, you may decide to open up your own HVAC business or your own plumbing business, and may decide to go back to school or not. And that's the beauty of our post-secondary education are the options that you have as long as you take advantage of all of the opportunities that are out there for you. So tell us a little bit about some of your classes, some of the things that you've learned, and just being at a HBCU. What is that like? You talked about you had saw Stop the Odds, so we're talking about the step shows and 9 and all of those other things. So tell me about your experience coming from um, a predominantly PWI to an HBCU and some of the things that you had the opportunity to experience.
Okay, so one thing I had the opportunity to experience while I was at Shaw is like, since we're a small school, you kind of have to be like, hungry. And I'm a hungry person. So, everything that I like, want, I have to work for it and go get it. And so that's why I feel like me and this school gets along so well, because everything's not going to be handed to us because we're not coming from one of those big schools. So, that's one thing I feel like they instill in everybody that goes here. It's like, if you want it, you have to go get it. Nobody's going to hand it to you. And then, some of the classes that I took, one of the hardest classes I actually took was accounting. Some certain parts of accounting is okay, and then certain parts you're like, okay, what? Like, and even though I like, my first time taking it, I got a C. Then I had to take accounting two during the summer. I got an A, and then I took a managerial accounting, and I got a B. So as the whole process, of learning accounting is one of those. It's like repetition. That's what my last professor, Miss Dr. Nunez, she told me. It's like just you have to. It's one of those you just have to keep doing. You just have to keep doing it. It's kind of hard when you have like four other classes to
Right.
have time to do it. But once I kept doing it and kept doing it, and I eventually got good at managerial accounting, which I actually like. And you just like, and once you're out into the real world, like now I just look at things so differently, like the way like businesses, why they market it this way, why they price it this way, how much money they get to net versus why like if I go to McDonald's and I buy like a meal and it's like $8 and some change, they're only going to be able to keep a certain part of that. So
Right.
that's, and then why they only have yearly things on their menu. So just looking at different things, I look at things so much differently now. I look at it as a business person per se.
Yeah, I love that because you're showing that, what your education already, even before you get out there and, with your first full-time job outside of college, how you're already using what you've learned just in everyday life. And that's so important. When you were talking about how when you went to McDonald's now and you look at how they do their pricing and how much they get to keep and how much has to go back towards something else. So this past weekend we had the Dogwood Festival here in Fayetteville, and it's a festival that started like from Friday to Sunday, and for a lot of the vendors it's a big deal for them because that's their opportunity to make quite a bit of money. So in one of the online groups that I was looking at, somebody was complaining about the food vendors and the price of their products. And then somebody said, well, they were charging tax. When did they start charging tax? And so it was interesting reading the thread because people were saying, well, they've always charged tax. They have to charge tax because they've got to pay tax.
Yeah.
Um, and just reading that thread, it was so interesting because it was just telling how little people knew about how business worked.
Yeah, and then, like even like with my mom, like like because I come from a household where we don't have a lot of money and sometimes we do struggle. But like when you look at a business is like a baby. It's a living, breathing thing. So you have to like, if I give somebody something for free, that's like me taking food out of a child's mouth and giving it to somebody else. So that's the way that I look at things now. So now I don't give some businesses crap about certain situations because what I'm learning. And so I feel like people have to look at it. It's like looking at, you got to look at it both ways why they do
Right.
it. So, like even now with prices and stuff being high because, of inflation and things like that, you have to realize the government was pushing out money during quarantine. They were just giving people checks.
Mhm.
So, when you giving out checks, that money, the dollar's going to be worth less. So, they're going to have to raise prices to get that money back out of the consumer's hands. And, some people, they just don't some people really just don't understand. So I feel like if you go to college, it's okay to go for something else, but you should know business because, like I said, this is how the world works and this is how the world evolves.
Yeah, capitalism is a big part
Yeah.
is our country. I don't always like a lot of the pieces that go along with capitalism because I feel it leaves too many people behind, but it is the foundation, I guess, of our country. So it is important for us to know how it works. So folks who are listening in, please throw some comments in there. We want you to join in the conversation. Please make sure that you're sharing this out. Share out the YouTube link or the Facebook link to your friends and family so that they can join in the conversation. And if you have any, questions that you want to ask Jameel, join in. Love for people to join in. This is a conversation. We're not trying to keep all this good stuff to ourselves. So Jameel, now that so one of the things I wanted to talk about, this is one of the reasons why you kind of came to my attention. So Jameel, again, as I told you earlier, he is a graduating senior from Shaw University, and I had connected with Morgan Stokes, who is the director of the Experiential Learning Center at Shaw University. So we were kind of messaging back and forth, and I'm always asking her about because she always showcases the students at Shaw and the different internships that they're acquiring and the different career adventures that they have the opportunity to engage in. So she had posted about this hackathon. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So kind of posted about that a little bit. So I read about it. I said, "Oh, this is interesting." So I was trying to get Morgan to come on, but Morgan said she's a behind the scenes person. So I said, "Oh, I'd love for you to have a student recommend a student to come on." So this is why Jameel is with us today. So Jameel, you were part of the team from Shaw University who made it to the finals for the Experian Hackathon. So could you explain to people what the Experian Hackathon is?
So the Experian Hackathon was basically an event that this company hosted named Experian. It was about teaching young people my age or people who are coming out of high school about credit and why credit, is
Mhm.
important and it's best to start early than later. So we had to design like a product of some sort to teach people my age, like I said before, and so they can learn it. So a lot of people came up with games, a lot of just different learning tools, and the ways we will market it towards a younger crowd. So our whole concept was, using AI technology and using a game. So the AI knows your day to day, what you have going on, what you like to spend money on, and it will have like different, your goals and different stuff like that. So it can help better your credit as a young adult and teach you through the process. So let's say a person had set a goal to after they graduate to buy a house, it will make sure that they follow each and every steps and make the right purchases to build their credit so they're able to get that loan and it won't have that much interest on there so they wouldn't be paying back more.
Okay, that's great. So, for those of you, I mean, many people who are familiar with the major credit rating companies, Experian is one of those companies. It's definitely in your best interest to check your credit report every year to see what your credit score is. And this the whole idea of financial literacy, Jamil, is so important because it's not taught in schools on a regular basis. I
Yeah.
know in my house growing up, I'm like we came, I came from a low income family. It was just my mom's single parent home, so there wasn't a lot of conversation around credit, around how to use credit cards, around compound interest, around buying a home. Those were not conversations that we had. I mean, you knew basic banking language. I mean, you knew about
Yeah,
opening a savings account, and I even remember in high school learning how to write a check. I don't know,
yeah.
be,
I don't even know how to really do that. They didn't teach us that in high school. So
yeah, and it's funny. And I remember when my sons were getting of age, and I said, "Huh." I remember as I think one of my sons was right. It was we had gotten them a checking account. They had bank accounts, and he was getting ready to write a check, and he didn't know how. And I'm like thinking, so how did I learn how to write a check? And I had to go back and think about that. And I said, well, I don't really remember having a lesson in school around anything to do with financial literacy. I think my mother or maybe one of my friends showed me how to write a check. It wasn't something that was part of my formal education. So I love it that you did this with Experian. And for folks that are listening in, I just put a URL into the chat there for you. And this is an article about the whole hackathon. And you can see the teams, the four finalists from different universities. So there were finalists from, let's see, there were finalists from Fisk University, Morgan State, Shaw University, and Alabama State. So these teams were the four finalist teams that made it to the hackathon. And where was the hackathon held, Jameel?
it was held in California, and I'd never been towards the West Coast at all. The closest I probably got to the West Coast is St. Louis, so it was definitely
Okay.
experience.
So not only did you have the opportunity to do this, you got a chance to visit another part of the United States that
Yes,
you
ma'am.
had never visited. So again, expanding your horizons just geographically. So again, folks, that's what we mean by, you don't know what these opportunities may bring your way in that respect. So before you actually became a finalist for the hackathon, um, I was reading here that it was like that they did like a 6 month credit academy.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's was where they were teaching you about all the different things about, credit history and financing and what have you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that is definitely something that would be so great if every student had the opportunity to do that. And you're right, that's a conversation that needs to be held early, sooner rather than later. Students now, as I said, today, May 1st is National Decision Day. Students are making decisions about what colleges they're going to attend. And I hope and pray that they're also making good financial decisions about what college they are going to attend. um, I had the pleasure of doing a workshop for the Gear Up program at Fayetteville State University this past Saturday, part of their TRIO program. And the conference is called For the Love of Children. And they're actually, and someone was there, Brittany Privet was there from CFNC.org, which is the College Foundation of North Carolina, talking to them about financial aid and what have you, because those are conversations that a lot of folks aren't having around the dinner table. And you learn credit on the run. You learn credit when you get a credit card, and all of a sudden you've run up your balance. You've run up, some debt, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. And then you're paying the minimum and wondering why that isn't going down, because you're not factoring in the interest and how long it may take you to pay off that initial balance. So tell me about you at Shaw on the football team now. That's always something, being a student athlete. That's a whole nother commitment that some folks do really well at. So tell me about what it was like being a student athlete at Shaw.
It was definitely well because like Cochran kind of prepared me for because when each level you get up to, it's kind of like more of a business and a job for football. So I feel like it's as hard as like studying the film and different things like that, preparing for teams. You have to do more dissecting and different things like that. So it's really like when professionals talk about like in the NFL about what can separate you is like watching film. So if you watch more film, it slows the game down for you, and that's what they preach here at Shaw.
Okay. So how was it juggling your time, managing your time, being a full-time student and a member of the football team?
I ain't gonna lie, it was pretty tiring at first, trying to get, used to it, having to wake up early to lift in the morning, go to classes, and then having, practice, and then you have to find time to, do your homework. And a lot of people have, struggles doing that, especially as from seeing it from Hawking and seeing it from here. A lot of people have like it's you really have to be dedicated. If you're not dedicated to this and having a set schedule, you will get left behind in certain parts of whatever it is, whether it's football or it's class.
Yeah, that is so true. And I think, when I talk with students and they're express an interest to continue their sport in college, we always talk about, okay, how much do you want to be involved? Because you're a student athlete. The student part comes first, and that's the most important piece. So it's
Mm-hmm.
it's not the other way around. So again, um, figuring out how do you get that in. And like I love what you said at the beginning, when you started talking about how, you had to get up early because you had to go to conditioning first. So it's not
Yep.
just showing up for practice and game day. There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes and preparing for practice and preparing for game day. And as you said, those professors still want their papers in on time, and you still have to be ready with all those other assignments that are due. So what advice would you give to a young person who is getting ready to embark on their college career and they're also thinking about continuing their sport in college?
Um, One thing I would say is limit limit the distractions. If this is something you want to do, the girls, they'll always be there. Partying, that'll always be there. Take care of what you need to take care of now, so in the future, when you see, different friends and different stuff like that, and they're, working a 9 to 5, getting paid barely, what they want, and you have, a nice car, a nice house, and the career that you want. So, if you want those things, take care of what needs to be taken care of right now. Don't, just you have to be focused. It's hard to preach that nowadays, especially with, my generation, because there's so much distractions out there.
Yes.
So, just you just have to be, focused. You have to know what is important. Set your what's the word I'm looking for? It's like it's I can't think of the word I'm looking for right now. It's like basically just get your priorities. Set your priorities straight on to begin with, and that's what I did when I first got to Hocking and I got to Shaw. When I got to Hocking, my priority was to have the highest GPA on the team. Shoot for the stars. You might land on the clouds, but it's better than landing back on the ground. So that's what I did each. When I was at Hocking, and I had the 3.8 and 3.9 GPA. Same with Shaw. I made sure my GPA was high, and just did everything that I needed to, so I wouldn't be on nobody's bad side. Because like my mom always says, you never know who's watching. Another opportunity might open up.
That is so true. Great advice from your mom. So you will be graduating. When's graduation date?
It is the 13th of May.
Oh, right around the corner. Right around
It's,
the corner. Wow. So, Jamil, what are your plans post graduation?
so my plan is Miss Morgan is helping me apply to grad school to get my master's. I want to go get my master's in cybersecurity and computer science.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
So yeah, that's
cybersecurity is a hot field. It's a field that is definitely growing. I mean, all of us are on technology all the time, and we need
yeah.
to be secure and in what we do. It's funny because I've set like so many of my online things where you have to do that double verification. And sometimes it's so irritating that I've got to go back in and verify and use this code and what have you. But I also understand the importance of that security. And that's just my little world. When you think about um, banking businesses and any other business, I mean,
Mhm.
we are we can't do anything anymore without cybersecurity. So that's a great mix, mixing your background in business administration and management with cybersecurity. That sounds pretty good. So what schools are you looking at? Do you have schools in mind or
I'm applying. I'm in the process of applying for two of them right now. Just waiting for transcripts to get there and different things like that. But one of them is University of Tampa, and then the other one is UNC Charlotte.
okay. Both very good schools. That the University of Tampa's campus is amazing.
Yep.
Um, um, really a great city, but UNC Charlotte. I mean, you're right there. Charlotte is like the heart of the banking industry. So they're always looking for folks working in cybersecurity to help them with that banking industry. Jameel, this has been such a pleasant conversation because I think it's so important for students to see people that have gone through the process. You're almost at the finish line for this. Um, and plus the fact that you started at a community college, transferred to a 4-year college when the opportunity presented itself, because there's such a stigma sometimes about starting at a community college. And you knew that it was the right choice for you at the time. You made it work for you. Like you said, you went in there with your priorities straight. You knew what you wanted to do, you knew what your job was when you got there, and you made it work for you, and that helped you get the opportunity to find out about Shore. So even though you didn't know about Shore beforehand, you got the opportunity to become a Shore bear, and to really use everything that Shore has to offer you. So one of the things I'm always trying to impress on young folks, especially if they're attending, even if they're attending a community college or a 4-year college, about using career services. So what advice would you give to a young person about connecting with career services on their campus?
Um, what's it called? I actually have a funny story. So I really didn't even know where the Career Service Center was at my school, but I was always like in the area, this part of Shaw, the Yancey building. I was just always being in this small area, like where it's like study and stuff, where it'd be quiet. So that's how Miss Ray actually, me and Miss Ray met. She would walk through there, and I would always be in there. And then she just asked me one day, like, you're always in here. You want to go to Atlanta for, CFA? And she started explaining what CFA was. And I was like, yeah. And then our relationship just started, building from there and different things like that. So, you know, like Mama said, you never know who's watching. She seems I was always in there working hard and stuff like that. And she just, I guess she got comfortable and knew that I would do the right things and to be successful. So, and thank God I did meet her, because without her, I probably wouldn't even know what I'll be, doing after graduation. So,
Okay.
just like I said, just having my ducks in order, So, but I advise every student to find out where that room is, or where that building is at on their university, because they can help you each and every step to, get the experience in your career before you graduate. So, if you don't like it, hey, I need to switch it. If you do like it, okay, this is how you grow.
Right. That is so important. I'm glad you said that. A shout out to Morgan for recognizing talent when she saw talent, and for being the wonderful professional that she is, because like I said, I'm connected with her on LinkedIn, and I love following the posts that she's making about the students that she interacts with. And speaking of LinkedIn, for those of you that might want to connect with Jameel, you see on the screen, this is how to connect with him on LinkedIn. So any students that may be interested in attending Shore, or hey, somebody that's out there that wants to help him with graduate school or a job or something, please contact him, connect with him there on LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is one of the best platforms for people to use career wise in order to create relationships with other people, to find out about what's happening in your particular industry, and just to build up your network. So, again, folks, if you're out there and you want to connect with Jameel, this is his LinkedIn URL. I thank all of you. Jameel, first of all, thank you so much for coming on doing this, because a lot of people don't like to come on and talk live. They don't want to do it. So I really appreciate you coming on doing it, because as I said, I think it's so important for students to see people that look like them, that are out there doing work, because representation matters, and you're such a fine role model for those young folks that are following in your footsteps, or that are thinking about, should I go to college, and how do I succeed at college and also be a successful student athlete. So I thank you for the time that you gave us this evening, and I wish you well. And I do want us to keep in touch, because I want to see, how things play out for you. That definitely wishing you all the success in the world.
Oh, thank you. I
And
appreciate that.
you're welcome. You're welcome. And folks, stay tuned for next week's C3 with Dr. B. Now it's going to be a little different next week. Next week, I am going to be in Seattle at the Independent Educational Consultants Association's conference. So I will be broadcasting from there, may have a couple of my colleagues with me, maybe talking to someone from one of the colleges. I don't know, but it will be coming live to you from Seattle, Washington. One of the other upcoming events that I have on May 22nd, please join me for a conversation with Amanda Olivier, who is a rising third year student at the North Carolina School of Veterinary Medicine. She is going to help folks understand all the trials and tribulations of being um, a veterinary student, because some people don't know there are only like what 32 veterinary schools in the United States. So getting acceptance into one is definitely more competitive than undergraduate work. So that's on May 22nd. Make sure you follow me on my Facebook page so that you can see what's coming up new. And if you want to make sure you share this broadcast today with folks that you know, you can find it on my YouTube channel. And I'd love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And one last bit of business here. I just sent out the newsletter for April and May. If you are interested in subscribing to Steps newsletter in order to get information on current trends in college and some information about different careers, and always a little bit of conversation about paying for college, this is how you will subscribe to the Steps newsletter. Thank you so much for those of you who took time out of your busy day to join us. We certainly appreciate it. Jameel, again, I appreciate your time. I wish you the best of luck with your applications and with everything good that's coming your way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You are welcome. So, Jameel, hang on. So, folks, I will see you next Monday. Take care, everyone.